The president on Air Force One talking to reporters a short time ago. And in that conversation, he as much as threatened to take away the licenses of broadcast television networks that have overwhelmingly critical coverage of him. Here's what the president said when he was asked about the Jimmy Kimmel decision by ABC. He said of television networks that cover him with their news divisions, they're 97% against. They give me only bad press. They're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr. I think Brendan Carr is outstanding. He's a patriot. He loves our country. He's a tough guy. So we'll have to see. The president there referring to Brendan Carr, the chairman of the FCC, who, of course, as you'll remember, Sarah, just before the ABC decision on Jimmy Kimmel, said of ABC they can do this the easy way or they can do it the hard way, threatening FCC action against ABC. We saw the decision by ABC to sideline Jimmy Kimmel after that threat by the FCC chair. And now the president of the United States suggesting that other television networks, which have news divisions, which cover him in a way that he feels is negative, may have their licenses taken away. He says that'll be up to the same Brendan Carr.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. My name is Trevor.
And my name is Kola, and in Sister Talk Reacts, we dive and explore into cultural events, trending stories and news all over the world with thoughtful perspectives and engaging discussions. So let's get into it.
Today's topic will be on how President Donald Trump is going head to head with the America's biggest TV network.
This comes immediately after Jimmy Kimmel was suspended and Trump threatened action against broadcasters. And we are wondering, is this a fight for free speech or a step towards censoring?
Now, before we comment on this topic, let's first of all see how America reacted on this issue about what Trump said, and then we'll come back with full commentary.
President Trump just left the United Kingdom, and as he's on his way back to Washington, he spoke with reporters and blatantly made clear that he believes if late-night hosts on network shows continue to criticize him, then those networks and their broadcasting licenses that they get are then going to be at risk of being revoked.
I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I get 97% negative, and yet I won easily. I won all 7 swing states, popular, I won everything. And if they're 97% against, they give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr.
Of course, this is a direct result of what we saw happen with Jimmy Kimmel being pulled indefinitely off the airwaves at ABC. He also did something he didn't do at his press conference here in the UK. He praised Brendan Carr, that is, of course, the chairman of the FCC, who was pressuring ABC and Disney to make changes when it came to Jimmy Kimmel's monologue.
I think Brendan Carr is outstanding. He's a patriot. He loves our country, and he's a tough guy.
Well, here we go. Donald Trump is now saying that it is illegal for any TV shows to criticize him. He was just on Air Force One, returning from his trip to the UK when he said the following. As journalist Caitlin Collins just reported, Trump just told reporters, quote, when you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative one in years or something. When you go back and take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They are licensed. They are not allowed to do that. Trump is making it abundantly clear that his goal right now is to silence all the media that is critical of him, as if the United States is Russia or North Korea. This is a blatant violation of free speech rights and the First Amendment and is entirely un-American. And I want to assure you of this, the corporate media may continue to fold to Donald Trump, but we will not here at the Midas Touch Network. In fact, we just wrote a letter to Jimmy Kimmel about this entire situation. We hope you have a chance to read it. It's up on our Substack at MidasPlus.com. Go there, check it out. We will not be threatened. We will not back down.
Donald Trump just said on Air Force One that media organizations cannot criticize him. What? That, yes, media organizations cannot criticize him. They cannot say anything about him he doesn't like, in effect. They don't have the First Amendment right, and he basically says that since they're licensed by the FCC, that gives him as president the right to dictate what they can say. Donald Trump, I don't know what country you think you're in, but you're not in that country. The United States is not a dictatorship controlled by you at this point. It is still a democracy. We have a constitution. And under our constitution, under the First Amendment, we have a right to freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. You cannot take that away because you don't like people criticizing you. Then perhaps you shouldn't do things to be criticized about, and I bet they won't criticize you. It's amazing how that works. So you don't have the right that you think you do, and because you've done this right now with Jimmy Kimmel, not going to work. Not going to work. Stephen Colbert, not going to work. The American people won't stand for this. Those that are MAGAs with those burned out light bulbs, they may not be able to see what's going on, but the rest of us do. And by the way, there will be an election next week in Arizona 7 congressional district. And that's going to give us a 218th signature to bring the Epstein files to be released on the floor of the House of Representatives. See how that works. And we will be talking about Epstein in the future.
It's not your imagination. We are in the middle of a hostile government takeover, and it's not slowing down. In America, the nation of free speech, Jimmy Kimmel said something that the president and his party think is offensive, so his show got pulled. But Jimmy Kimmel is not even the first one this week. Washington Post columnist Karen Attiah was fired Monday for calling out our country's culture of violence and quoting Kirk's own words, "Nothing more, nothing less." This is a full-blown attack on our right to know what's going on and have an opinion, and it's step 6 in the autocrat's playbook. Despite the propaganda and the false excuses, Republicans are consolidating more and more power and censoring what we hear and see. That's why they're demanding loyalty, punishing critics, and threatening newsrooms, the media, and journalists into silence. If they can come for Karen and Kimmel, they can come for anyone who dares to speak up and speak out. But we are tougher than they think, and there are more of us than they realize. So I'm asking you to head over to 10stepscampaign.org to learn about a few ways to fight back and protect our freedom and power, because we're counting on you.
Hey guys, we have a wholesale assault on the First Amendment. I'm going to explain the scope of what Trump is trying to do, why it's so wildly illegal, and how it also implicates our right to free and fair elections. Okay, Trump, first of all, is not just trying to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel. He's trying to get rid of any type of comedy that makes fun of him. Parody is obviously protected political speech, and political speech is what's known as a fundamental constitutional right. It is the highest right known in the entire American legal system. Additionally, it's not just comedy. Today in Air Force One, he told Caitlin Collins of CNN that he wants to basically get rid of any news organization that is critical of him. He literally said that, okay? I'm putting it right here. Now, that is what's known as a content-based prior restraint on speech. It has never been found to be illegal. It has always been struck down every time the government has tried to do that in the past. And on top of that, the reason we have freedom of the press in the First Amendment, the Supreme Court has explained repeatedly, is so that voters can get accurate information to make informed voting decisions. So not only would you be getting rid of, freedom of the press and freedom of speech, you're basically eviscerating our right to free and fair elections. Free elections and freedom of speech are the core rights that allow us to call ourselves Americans. We are in a very dark place as they try to get rid of this. Stand up to it. Don't take it.
When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative one in years or something. When you go back and take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. Donald Trump is essentially saying that media organizations and late night television hosts are not allowed to criticize Donald Trump. Here's the deal. Of course they are. They are allowed to do that. But Donald Trump is making clear that if they criticize him, they could face the suspension of their show, like with Kimmel, or potentially the revocation of their media license as a whole. And independent media has never been so important in this moment because folks like us, we're not going to cave to the White House. We're not going to cave to Trump. So
after Jimmy Kimmel's television show got pulled off the air at the request of Donald Trump's administration, he straight up just admitted on Air Force One that he's looking to take the broadcast licensing away from more shows that are giving him unfavorable coverage. And it's funny because over the past 24 hours, conservatives have been trying so hard to say, no, Trump didn't request this. It just happened because Jimmy Kimmel said an innocuous comment about Charlie Kirk or whatever. But no, Trump came out and himself admitted that he's the one that is okay with this happening. He's requesting this to happen, and he wants more shows to get their broadcast license to get pulled unless they give him just purely favorable coverage, like Fox News, state regime media, Fox News. Now, even if Trump and FCC Chair Brendan Carr don't follow through with this, which they already are, but even if they don't do anything further, they're already achieving this goal of public intimidation. Even threatening this creates a chilling effect. Nevertheless, what happened to Colbert, Kimmel, and the threats against Fallon, Myers, and any other late night hosts, or people like me, people who have programs that are criticizing the president of the United States. It is absurd that we're at this point. And before we even break down all of Trump's comments, I want to back up for a second because there has been a huge battle in bro circles. Barstool Sports owner Dave Portnoy said right after the assassination of Charlie Kirk that part of this is Trump's fault because he's always amping up the temperature. Then Dave Portnoy walked it back, and now he's getting called out by people that work for him saying, you know, the right are the biggest group of pussies that have ever existed. That's what they're saying. Let me walk you through this. This is the first clip from Dave Portnoy.
I do wonder whether, you know, culture has changed. Obviously, Trump has broken a lot of brains. And the reason I actually, when he ran, I was like, a lot of his policies I agree with. I think he's so divisive, it tears the country apart. Trump, and when I say Trump has a huge part in it, I don't necessarily mean he's to blame for it, but he's so divisive without really even just his face is like divisive. Like people hate him so much. In the left and the right, the rhetoric, especially to me, the left, is insane. And it just boils.
All right, so the right tore him up for that because he essentially stumbled onto the truth and said Trump is so incredibly divisive over and over that he does have a part to play in it. Then Dave Portnoy walked that back, and Kirk Minahan, who was on the show to the right, calls him out. Listen, this is great.
I always do left or no. Right now in 2025 at 10:06 on September 18th, the extreme right are the biggest group of pussies that has ever existed in America. A bunch of because people with green hair at Starbucks and because once in a while a fucking guy swam against girls. You fucking pussies have broken in half, led by the duo of.
So Trump has had a long history of fighting with the media, and he often claims that networks are biased against him. And now this comes after ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel, and Trump hinted that he will be using federal power against broadcasters.
Trump suggested that networks could face consequences, even involving FCC, if they continue airing what he called unfair coverage. And this is the strongest warning he has made against mainstream media so far.
Supporters are arguing that the media needs accountability, and they're saying that the network is too powerful and biased, but critics call this a dangerous attack on the free speech under the First Amendment. The media groups are also warning about government overreach. Free speech is considered the cornerstone of democracy, and it allows citizens to criticize the government and challenge authority and hold leaders accountable. And that's where Donald Trump doesn't want this to end up.
Another thing, when free speech is being restricted, this then gives the country, the government, and those popular people, they give them power and control over narratives. Even they can control what you're supposed to say and what you're not supposed to say.
Speech itself is not actual violence. And there's a difference between offensive expressions and actual incitement to violence or threats.
Free speech means protecting the speech we hate, not just the speech we like.
What do you all think? Is this about fairness or is it censorship? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
And finally, special thanks goes to the original creators featured in this video.
Credit goes to all respective owners of the clips and content used. Your work and perspective made today's work possible.
And if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like,
subscribe, and leave a comment. See you in the next one.